Hi everyone, it's Fiona Edgar here. So this is a video about the Rune Othala. I'm sure you're used to me making astrology videos, but I've actually been a practicing occultist for over 20 years. Now, for about the last 5, 6 years, the only practice that I do is my ancestral path. So that is ancestral. I work with the runes, mostly in a magical sense, but also for divination. So the Norns have actually made it quite clear to me that this is part of my path also to share the journey that I have taken. Now, for many years, like probably a lot of you watching this video, I dabbled in a lot of New Age practices. I did every form of magic that you can think of. But really, the true path, the one that has made the most change, positive change for me, really strengthened and empowered me, has been this ancestral path that I walk on. So I do live in Northern Ireland, but most of my blood is Scottish and Danish. So I wanted to talk about Othala. Now, it represents both a physical dwelling, but also a spiritual dwelling. So really, the true meaning of this rune is about your spiritual inheritance. Now, there's a lot of misconceptions about karma and reincarnation, and most of that has got to do with the New Age, the pollution from the New Age, and that kind of mishmash of things. So your DNA, your blood, your kind of karmic or spiritual legacy comes from your blood. It comes from your ancestors. So you will inherit their gifts, their skills, but also any patches of trouble. They call them family curses. Othala is one way that you can work to open up the knowledge and the wisdom of your ancestors. Othala is about the inheritance that you have received from your ancestors, which are also previous incarnations of yourself. So this is a path for people that have European blood. There is this kind of thing in the New Age where they call it racism or whatever. But the New Age is a manifestation of the age of darkness, along with the Abrahamic religions. So for a long time before that, 99% of the time, people were polytheists. They venerated their ancestors and also the spirits within nature. So when you start to work with Othala, you're going to open up your spiritual wisdom, ancestral wisdom that runs through your veins. Now, this is the only form of enlightenment. It is the only form of ascension, if you want to use that word, or spiritual progression. So it's never going to come. An awakening is never going to come from reading information or dabbling with practices that aren't in your bloodline. You can, of course, do that, as I did, but all it does is open you up to spiritual attacks, and because you don't have the protection then of your ancestors. The gods are also your ancestors. So when you start to do this kind of path working, it is recommended that, of course, it is in your blood and that you are using it as part of this whole system. They're not like fortune telling cards or whatever. This is something much more deeper. It will run through your blood. Of course, if you look down at the palm of your hand, you might see Othala there, along with a lot of other runes. So they're literally, the energy is imprinted within our physical bodies and the blood. So what way can you work with Othala? Well, I work with the runes the way that I would do any magical sigil. And that is, you can just look at the rune itself, or you can print it off and put it somewhere, like for example, your bedroom or somewhere where you're likely to spend a lot of time. And I stare at the rune and I visualize energy running through the shape of it. So that opens it up. like any magical sigil that you would use in occultism. So what it does, you'll start to see changes within your own physical reality. You may also have dreams. You will have streams of, call it enlightenment, or really it's the wisdom and knowledge of all of your ancestors starting to open up within you. And of course, it will affect your everyday life also. So you will form a much deeper connection with your ancestral lands. I know a lot of you watching this are probably not in your own ancestral lands anymore. You know, for example, maybe you're in Australia or elsewhere, but that doesn't really matter because the knowledge is something that will come to you uh, in your life through dreams, through daily occurrences, stuff that you stumble upon that helps you along your path. So it will instill within you a form of a love for your ancestral lands, also for your blood family and your blood tribe, which is something that a lot of people are lacking nowadays. They don't really feel that connection anymore. And it will kind of, you will start to be and find people that are of the same tribe as you, and you will form better connections that way. So we do inherit ourselves. And this is one of the kind of lessons of Othala, is that when you do certain things in your life, any kind of, whether it is kind of good or bad, you pass that along within your DNA and your bloodline to your ancestors. So it's about that inheritance. It can also be about a physical inheritance, about owning land somewhere that you thrive. And I know that that's something a lot of people are thinking about now when we want to be self-sufficient and exit this kind of Orwellian dystopia that we've all found ourselves in. So that can be another thing, but it will unleash these kind of these gifts and skills and knowledge from your ancestors, people that are in tune with their blood and working with their ancestral path. And I don't just mean people of European descent. It doesn't matter what race you're from or what country your descendants came from. Everyone should seek to be proud of your roots. The world would be a much healthier place. So we should all seek to do this in whatever way is appropriate for your kind of ancestral line. So your karma or your ancestral gifts or curses or whatever runs through your bloodline. Now, there is a way to work through that. We all know of like these patterns that seem to repeat in family lines. And that is some kind of ancestral, it can be an ancestral sort of curse, if to use a bad word, but it's a pattern that has become stuck, and there is a way to work through that. Othala is definitely one of the ways that you will find a solution to those family issues, those blood issues. You will be invoking the spirits of all of your ancestors, who of course are alive and well within your own physical body. The other way that you can work through these issues is with astrology. So that is something that I do in my practice. I am an ancestral astrologer, and I can look at someone's chart and figure out what they have inherited, gifts, skills, and also the more challenging stuff. I can see that in someone's birth chart. So like I said, you need to work with the runes as part of a complete system. I honor the gods. I give the gods offerings on certain days of the month. For example, with Odin, it's always the 9th of the month. With Thor, I always give him offerings on the first Thursday of the month. So it's not like we take little bits and pieces from this. It must be a whole lifestyle for you, as it is for me. And I can definitely say that it has changed my life in a way that nothing ever did before. And the way that I feel about myself, my relationships, my job, everything has been affected by that. There's a much deeper sense of spiritual protection that I never got from any other path. All I got was attacks and stuff. when you're kind of stealing practices from other cultures, or ignoring your own ancestors, ignoring your own heritage for those of other peoples, then you're not going to have any protection, especially the New Age, where they venerate so-called extraterrestrials and all of that, which are usually just the jinn or some other creature pretending to be something that they will recognize. But anyway, that's a story for another day. So you should empower yourself with your own ancestral path, honor your ancestors. Othala is a really good way to start that. So, like I said, I just printed off and I have it in my bedroom. You will start to, when you work with Othala, it's almost like you have a pair of x-ray glasses that you put on, and you're starting to see all of this deep ancestral wisdom and knowledge that you didn't have before. It is extremely powerful. Now, of course, I know that someone is going to say, oh, Othala, you know, it has connections to certain movements or whatever, and they'll say that it's racist, but it is not. It is an ancient symbol. It's like I said, you have it on the palm of your hand in some cases. I know that I do. So work with Othala if you want to connect with your blood, if you want information and knowledge from your ancestors, if you want to feel a deeper connection to your ancestral lands, and unlock all of that wisdom. So that's all that I wanted to say. I will be making more of these videos. I have been always very private about my spiritual path, but the Norns have kind of made it clear to me that I need to start talking about this as much as I talk about astrology. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments, and I will be back again soon.